All right, welcome back to Sportsline, everybody. Jon Burton with you. Again, you can always follow me on Twitter at JonBurton32. Also at NC5_Jon Burton. Catch me weekday mornings on WNSR Radio, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., along with Greg Pogue on the Greg Pogue and Jon Burton Show. We invite you to listen in and call in as well. You can call into this show if you'd like, 737-7767. We're, of course, talking about the Titans and Saturday night's big playoff game in Baltimore against the Ravens. Of course, if the Two-Tone Blue were to get out of there with a win, they would advance to the AFC Championship game. It's been a while since the Titans have played in an AFC title game, so they would play either the Texans or the Kansas City Chiefs. Either way, they would be on the road. If the Chiefs win, they'll go to Arrowhead Stadium. If the Texans win, they would go to NRG Stadium to play their AFC Central Division, or excuse me, AFC South Division of rivals. All right, right now we're going to hear from the head Titan in charge, Mike Vrabel, meeting with the media earlier today.
Mike, with your defensive background and Dean Pease, plus the way your defense has been playing the last couple weeks, how much does that maybe help when you're facing the challenge of trying to defend the Ravens and what they've done offensively?
You think Dean and I could stop him, huh?
Well, that's sort of the experience in the
No, I meant just right? it's just such a. I mean, it's hard. You know, it's discipline and ability. You know, a lot of ability, a ton of ability. It's a great scheme. But with any scheme, it's never as important as the players executing the scheme. We're going to try to do what we do every week and is give our guys as much preparation as we possibly can. Show them, teach them, explain to them, work things on the field, work drills. Try to find the guys that they have as go-to players, what their favorite plays are, and then obviously there's going to be new plays that show up in the game, and hopefully the things that we're doing are sound enough to allow our players to go and execute.
Teams talk about how difficult it is to simulate Jackson's ball fakes and his speed in the open field. How much can Marcus's RPO background help you prepare on the scout team?
Well, we'll need good speed today. That's something that's critical, which may, they're doing a great job, but 128 to 31 in the first quarter. My guess is that speed looks a lot different during the game than what it did in practice, and so hopefully we can get that speed and get that look as close to what we are going to see in the game. It won't be the same, but it's going to be, I think, pretty good with what Marcus can do and what hopefully the look that we can give our guys.
So when you face a team like this with kind of a unique offense, do you find yourself changing things more than you usually would, or do you just, you try and stay as close as you can to every week?
We do things that we will probably do. There'll be new things. There'll be things that we'll, have. There's going to be a lot of game plan, game adjustments that is going to take place. Hey, this is something that's a little new, or, hey, this isn't working, and we'll have to adjust and make sure that we're all ready as coaches and players to adjust as, things come up in the game.
Like Lamar's skill set being as unique as it is, could you see as a draft prospect how difficult a scout he was, because not a lot of offenses necessarily fit what he was going to do?
Well, hopefully, when we have good players here, talented players, we ask them to do things that take advantage of their talent. I think that's something that's critical as a coach, that you find out what the guys that you have do well, and then you try to ask them to do it well, and then things that they don't do well, you try to improve. Again, that they had a vision for the player, and that's what Jon and I try to do when we evaluate players coming out in the draft, free agency, during the season. What's the vision for this player? What does this player do well? What does this player need to, what are the areas of focus? So I'm sure they had a vision of what, Lamar was going to be for him.
For as much as they blitz, is it more complicated, and what kind of work ahead for your
That's a
running
great
backs to
scheme.
pick up?
Great scheme, great players. Aggressive play caller. Wink's aggressive. That's who he wants to be. And again, those schemes, they should never get overemphasized more than the players. They have very good players. Secondary is very good. I mentioned Humphreys and his ability to not only play tight coverage, but also if a guy catches a ball on him, you better protect it, because he's looking to knock it out, and is very well taught, and he executes that technique very well. Judon is developed into a very, very good player. The inside guys are next to impossible to move. Pierce and Williams, Wormley has got great length. They're fast inside. They're under, they're not the biggest linebackers, but they're fast. They run. They're productive. So all that with a good scheme makes it hard to handle.
How your backs been at pickup, and how much is on them in a situation like this?
Well, with pressure, when they're, they'll be in pickup this week. It'll be, important that we identify who we have to block, and that we do everything that we can do with our technique to get them blocked.
Every week, I know it's what you're planning to do every week, but how important is it to sustain drives to keep their offense off the field this week?
They're leading the league in time of possession. It's something that they have long drives, and they keep the ball, and defensively they're not out there very long. So, either we got to keep it a long time or we got to score.
Both your starting guards, Saffold and Nate Davis, how have you seen them change and improve as the season has progressed here?
I think the whole unit's improved. I think that as we continue to build confidence in what we're doing and have success, I think everybody's improved. I think that's the message to the team. It's been the teams that have continued to improve throughout the season are still here playing and preparing for games, and maybe the ones that didn't, aren't playing. So I would say that they've improved. I think that the rest of the offense and hopefully most of the players on the team have improved.
Was there a matter of familiarity, do you think, after so many years with the?
That'd be a great question for Roger.
It seems like with all the talk about that Ravens offense, the offensive line is lost within it, but they really do a good job reestablishing the line of scrimmage. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's not much penetration. They cover guys up. They make sure that they do a great job of making sure that there's no penetration. When you read it out of the pistol, it takes a second longer or half a second longer, whatever it is, and they're not giving up any penetration. They're not, there's a guy that they're reading, and that's the quarterback's job. But there's not a whole lot of penetration on the backside. If people are trying to create a new line of scrimmage or jam someone underneath, they've done a great job of picking that up. Stanley's turned into a phenomenal left tackle, great mover, very good length. Rarely get around him. Obviously, Orlando's a massive mover. Much was made out of him coming out, but he's turned into a people mover on the right side. He covers you up, and he'll knock guys 10 yards off the ball.
Those guys weren't necessarily drafted for this system. How impressive that they've transitioned into moving the way that they move and what they're doing.
I don't know what system they were drafted for. Offensive linemen, there's two types of run. There's zone scheme and gap scheme, and I hope that whatever system guys come out, they're going to zone right, they're going to zone left, or they're going to double team somebody. They're good players. They would be good players in any scheme, and that's the challenge. There's an example. I think that it's not all zone read, and so there was an example showing the team that there was a player that maybe had gotten read over there by Orlando Brown a few plays in a row, and he was kind of just standing there waiting to be read another time, and he rolls off the ball and knocks him about 10 yards off the ball. So I think that that's something that we have to be mindful for, is that it's not always zone read. I mean, it is. That's a large part of what they do, and they're successful and they're very good at it. But not just standing there waiting, to get read and then get knocked 10 yards off the ball.
All right, Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, talking to the media today ahead of Saturday night's AFC Divisional Playoff game in Baltimore against the Ravens, a game, of course, you can watch on News Channel 5. Don't forget, Friday night, 6:30, our Road to the Championship special. We will be live from Baltimore and here in Music City. And then, of course, pregame coverage throughout the day on Saturday leading up to the game, 7:15 kickoff on News Channel 5, and then, of course, live post-game coverage immediately following the game as well over on News Channel 5. All right, when we come back, we're going to switch gears and talk hockey. The Predators have a new head coach, John Hines. We will talk about him and much more with our buddy Robbie Stanley, who covers the Preds for NHL.com. Don't go away. We're back right after this.